Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. I'm Katie and today we are going to have a bit of a sketchbook tour. And just for a little bonus, you're going to join me while I paint the last page in that book. Now, some of these you've seen videos where I've used this book. For example, we have on screen now where I used the Jackson Sap Green, and the page before was just something I wanted to do. And that's the beauty of a sketchbook. Sometimes you want to create something quite precise, and then other times you just want to mess about with your colours. This is all predominantly watercolour, and this is using the Jackson's hot press watercolour paper as well. Again, I've mentioned this all on previous videos, so if you are new here, why not hit that subscribe button first, and then after this video, why don't you go and check out all of the others. So there's the shameless plug out of the way with. Now, I did mention these were mostly painted with watercolours, however there is a lot of line and wash work in here as well. For me, I wanted to practice drawing botanicals a little bit more, so that's why there are quite a few flowery pictures in here, and to be honest, it's not a strong point of mine. I can get the line work nice, and I think I get the colour representation nice, but combining them both together, it's not quite working for me yet, and that is a work in progress, but this is what sketchbooks are for. For me as well, sketchbooks are always a really nice reference to go back to, so using just single colours like I did with the sap green as well as the Jackson's red, it's just nice to have a visual representation of what your materials can do, and this can go for any medium. This just happens to be a watercolour one. The benefit of using hot press watercolour paper for this particular sketch pad is for the line work more than anything. I tend to find any rough surfaced watercolours, it just makes it a little bit hard to create a smooth line with a liner pen. I tend to find as I'm drawing along, the pen just sort of sinks into the dimples of the page, and that's not always what I want. So using a smoother paper allows me to have a smoother drawing. However, I can't quite be as expressive and loose with this paper, which is where a textured one comes in handy. But again though, because I've started to make my own sketch pads, I can choose what paper goes in there, and I've got a pad straight away where I can just use that medium, try something out, and then move on to another. I've also got a couple of other sketch pads, well, sketchbooks on the go that I've made, and I'm going to put those into a video just so you can see the first page of what I'm doing and where I'm going forwards. I'm also planning on creating a sketchbook to combat artist block, but we're going to just have to wait a little while for that. Not because I've got artist block, but these things take time. But from the first pages of sketchbooks you haven't seen to the last one that is before you now, I thought it would be a nice way to finish on what I started with the sketchbook. I went for a slightly more realistic shape of fish this time. I just went onto Pexels, found a koi fish reference, did the outlines, and then I kind of just freestyled it from there. I was thinking that I hadn't used the handmade watercolours that I bought from Etsy a while ago. I hadn't used them for a while, so I thought this would be just perfect to use on the last page, just to reacquaint myself with them. And let's face it, we enjoy painting. If you're watching this channel, you're enjoying art, and sometimes you just want to paint with something you might enjoy painting with. I used a very deep browny black for the background. I didn't want to use a true black for two reasons. Number one, I don't have one in the handmade watercolours, and number two, true black, and then when you're mixing it with other colours, it looks very unnatural, and I know that kind of goes against what I'm intending to do with this picture, but I think it might have just been a little bit too much. I think if I was blocking colours off and not really going for any texture or anything, then yeah, pure black would work great, but since as watercolour has a very uneven distribution, or well, it can do, I don't think it would have looked right. I also used the artful brushes here because I must admit I do like an artful brush. They seem to hold out well and they're very comfortable to use. They've got a good snap to them but can hold a decent amount of watercolour as well. Now, one thing that I do want to mention to you guys is when I see sketchbook tours and they're all perfect, they've got these perfectly pristinely designed pages, I get a little bit intimidated perhaps, and maybe not at the same time. So hear me out. This is a sketchbook that I wanted the pages to be nice. Each page I wanted something different, I wanted something interesting, as well as a visual tool for me to refer to for future works. Not all of my sketchbooks are like this. I have the watercolour ones like I'm using now, and I will try and produce something a little bit more cohesive and put a little bit more effort into it. But I also have a few other sketchbooks on the go, and these are ones I've perhaps bought from shops or received in subscription boxes, and I tend to just do all of my scribbly doodles and ideas in there. There is no right or wrong way to use your sketch pad. If you use one, some people don't, and that's also okay. I think for me, the sketchbook's purpose is to explore what you know and perhaps push your ideas a little bit further without having to commit to a really expensive sheet of paper and for it to all go wrong. Your sketchbook can be a small showcase of your work, and it can also be a private expression of what you're working through. Who knows, I might show you one of the junk sketchbooks one day, although it is very incoherent what's in there, and sometimes it doesn't even make sense to me what I've done. Some of the drawings in there you could liken them to as a hastily written note, which makes sense for a day or two when you look back to it to remind you to do something, but if you find that hastily written note several months later and the handwriting's bad, you don't understand it. And I guess in a way sometimes sketchbooks are a little bit like that too. I might go in depth into a drawing in a sketch pad and push it a little bit further before transferring it to a final piece, for example. And sometimes it's just a doodle that just doesn't make any sense at the time and probably won't later on. It's all okay though, it's your sketchbook, and whether you show them off or not is entirely up to you. They have covers so you can open and close them. I think that's what I'm trying to say anyway. But I digress. We have finished the last page of this sketch pad, and I quite enjoyed this whole book experience from the start to where we are now. Let me know in the comments what your sketchbooks mean to you, and do you have multi-purpose ones? In the meantime, there should be some lovely videos that I think you're going to enjoy on screen. I want to say thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye!